Click, click, click. That was the sound of the buckles as I clicked in 3 of my children. I had to run back into the home and grab 2 more. I opened the door. It had a very loud squeak. I went through as quietly as I could. Whole time, my mind is rushing, saying, hurry, hurry. I reach into the crib, pulling out my 3-year-old, her eyes awakened and looking everywhere to find hope. I snuggle her close and race her out to the van. I snap her in place, and now I have 1 more. I race back in, lifting my infant child, who is still sleeping, who is very wet because I haven't had time to change her diaper. We race back to the car, lay her in a car seat, snap her in. I know I have 1 minute left. With that, I go back through the door, grabbing some small supplies, putting them into the van, and firing it up. Upon sounding that key into the engine, I knew I would have wakened the house. What was I trying to do? Where was I trying to escape from? I was trying to escape a home. I thought it was my home. I thought it was a home that my 5 children and I would be safe. It was not. And as soon as that key, it started in the ignition, he came. He came with such force and pounded on the hood of the van, screaming, let's work it out. We can try again. He got so aggressive, he laid upon the top of the hood of the car. I threw it into the reverse, throwing him off the car, punching it into drive, and driving around him and out of the driveway into the falling snow. This is a story. This is part of my story. Now, a long time ago, I want you to imagine just fun in a yard, the trampoline, and enjoying watching myself flip, make amazing tricks happen. I was a gymnast, and I could turn and contort my ways in many different sequences. And one day, as I am doing my jumps, someone is spying. This person begins to leave little gifts. This person begins to come out and watch. This person is the neighbor. We strike up a friendship and start to play games like hide and seek. And one time, as I'm hiding, something happens that is never okay. I was touched and groped, and the pain of that moment didn't last one time. It lasted through a summer, and now I had a secret to hide. In my family, we shared everything. We had so much fun together. We would go out and work on the home. We would go out into the mountains and camp. We would hike. We would go on our boats. It was beautiful. We had times of work together. We had times of play together. And my parents, I always trusted. But what had happened so long ago, that summer, I shared with no one. And it started to go inward and eat at my soul. It started to help me think about life in a way that changed the perspective. This perspective shift started to eat at my mind and then eat away at my body. And I became trapped in a food war, thinking I could control the food that I consumed in hopes that I could control the pain I was suffering from that summer so long ago. Why don't we share 2 stories that are deep with pain? Pain is a motivator to push us forward, to find something in our lives, to find hope, to find light. I started to do some deep healing work and found myself with a counselor who shared insights that brought me hope. Now, I want you to imagine even further back at the age of 3. I remember I had a most beautiful white bear. This white teddy bear went with me everywhere. I loved my bear. It also had a string and a nook on it, or a pacifier. And I would chew on my pacifier and take my bear everywhere. Well, one day, I had slept with my bear, gotten up, played, and forgot about it until I wanted it, and I could not find my bear. I searched and searched, and then I stopped, and I remembered what my parents had taught me. They taught me to pray. So I said a very simple prayer to a Heavenly Father who I know was there, who I hoped would answer. And he did, and told me where to look. It was a feeling. It was a small prompting. It was a small idea. And that's how I learned my Heavenly Father communicated with me. I turned and looked and found the smallest little hand of my bear near the wall and my bed. I reached in, pulled out my bear, and I knew someone listened to me. Someone loved me enough to help me find my bear. That was a burning testimony deep inside that I knew for my life, my Heavenly Father would guide me, would help me, would bring me ideas, thoughts, solutions in my life. Now let's go back to the counselor. Counselor asked me a question and said, "Do you love someone?" I paused and I thought and I went deep. And I said, "Yes, I know my Heavenly Father does." She said, "Do you trust him?" I said, "Yes." And suddenly, my war with food and the idea that I needed to control vanished. I started to see a higher perspective and know that I was loved and know I could heal. With that, all I wanted to do was to go out and to teach people about my Heavenly Father, about his Son. So I became a missionary. And as I taught, there were people who needed such hope, such light in their lives. And I could see that what I was bringing to them was important, was real hope, was real light, and something very real. From there, I found myself getting married. I found myself having children and building a family that I always wanted. Now let's go back to the first story. You were introduced to a part of the family that was mine, with my first husband, that was shattered. Sometimes in our lives, we have to remember that other people's stories will impact ours. And in the impact at the moment, victim happens, but it doesn't stay. In the moment, in the summer, with the trampoline and the neighbor, victim happened, but it doesn't stay. In the moment when these happen, we have choices. We can survive, we can move forward, but we can do more than that. And we can learn how to thrive. Thriving helps us to move in a direction towards real hope and light. Now, I want you to imagine I am standing in front of a beautiful building, which we call the temple. And I have my 5 beautiful children, and I have my new husband, and we are together, we're newly married, and they have a life again. They have parents again. They have an opportunity again to find more hope and light in their lives, and possibly healing from the fractured family of before. With this engagement and understanding and newly formed life, we march forward. We are blessed with 4 more children. And these 4 children bring more hope and light to our lives. The power of that light within our lives was so amazing. And now, as you have seen, my hands moving in such a way for language, 2 of those daughters were born deaf. So we had a new adventure to take on in learning language to help them. And now as our family, as our hands move, we give them hope and light. With everything that we've learned throughout our life, your story is that of a new day. It is that of moving forward. Now, with 9 children, a wonderful husband, and work as a teacher, there are so many opportunities for so many stories. These stories come in that hope and light. And when we can cast that out, we become that beacon for them to stretch towards. My story has elements of deep darkness and pain. Probably, I'm guessing yours is too. So what makes the difference of me standing here and sharing a story with you and you consuming it and finding connection with it? What is that? That is a connection of story, of humanity, of hope, and of light. Our stories are just that. Yours are as important as mine. And I hope you have connected in such a way that brings you an idea to begin to write your story. We all have such light within us. And when you find that connection, reach, make a choice, go forward. You all have such light within your lives. The belief that you have within yourself to see that pinpoint, move towards it, share outwardly is real. Now, challenges will happen. Life brings us that. That's just a foundation of life. If you continuously look at a victim, they just stay within that cycle. If you look at only survivors, they have just the strength to continue in the cycle. But if you look at someone who thrives, they step out of the cycle. They know the secret that life happens and challenges pop up, and it's okay. And you make choices to breathe through it, to cling tighter to your God, and to move forward. My story is that, and I know yours has similar elements because you are living life here. So as we close today, my hope and light is for you to reach beyond and know that you have the power to go beyond that pinpoint. You have the power to take the steps. You have the power to find your story, to live in it bravely and move forward.